Ooh, it's picking up some speed.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay. You gotta reset them. Okay. Okay.
I don't know if this is the answer we have as of yet, but I think we have a lot of viewers curious about what the winch issue was that happened. Um, it did happen on the way up, but someone's
It's
asking.
still unknown. They're troubleshooting.
Understood.
Yeah, our engineers are actively working to get it back in working order and get the ROVs up on deck, but uh, from my understanding, I'm not an engineer, but it's a very large machine with lots of parts, and so trying to isolate an issue in a system like that can take a little bit of time.
Yeah, that's something I relate to a lot. But it's very satisfying when you finally get something. You're like, aha! It's like a puzzle.
It is like a puzzle.
We do have lots of puzzlers on board. Been
We
told
have
you're one of them.
we have a pretty impressive puzzle collection in the lounge.
All right.
Not that we've puzzled much this.
Can we get a zoom in there, Jacob?
Yes, we sure can.
No, is that what I think it is?
What is that?
The really adorable octopus?
No, it's a jellyfish.
No, it's a really cute, adorable
I keep
jellyfish.
thinking that when I walk by in the lounge and see these cameras, I'm like, is that an adorabilis?
This is very cool, though. Bloop. 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 It's like, this is so cool.
Can zoom in just a little bit more.
Roger that.
Okay, hold there.
Nice.
Not even showing.
Oh, he's in the shadows now.
Come out of the shadows, friend. Oh, it listened.
There we go.
It's amazing how many creatures, when we stop moving, are hanging out.
That is a lovely jellyfish.
The water column dwellers.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
There's so much in the midwater, in the area, kind of that we often just sort of pass through,
Yeah.
and it's a really understudied part of the ocean.
Can you try zooming in just a tiny bit more if you can?
Absolutely, I got a little bit of zoom left.
Keep swimming in this direction.
There
Yes! I think it went away the same amount extra that you zoomed in.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, go ahead and come back out.
Zoom out.
Yeah, I'm just following it up.
How big is that? Is it as tiny as it seems?
It's
Uh,
quite small.
Should we also fill his body with green light and the lasers?
Yes.
It looks like about. I can't tell
it's
until the
tiny.
lasers hit it.
I would say that it's under 10
Yeah.
centimeters. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's,
Floating between them. So it's just a tiny little thing.
yeah, it's really,
Just a little
Yeah.
friend.
Yeah.
everything's relative. It's bigger than a lot of other little living things in the water
Alright.
here that we can't see.
That's true. That's interesting. What kinds of things are hidden smaller scale than what we look at?
Ooh, well, let's see where we're at, what depth. Well, there's different kinds of kind of planktonic or larva like scale organisms closer to the surface of um, the sea surface. There's organisms that actually are photosynthetic, but deeper down, larger organisms, their babies can start off in kind of a smaller size. And then all those white dots is what we call marine snow, and can be a whole different mix of things.
Tim, could you turn your auto heading back on? Rotate, yeah. Rotate to starboard.
Sorry.
Yeah, I can. Perfect.
I have. So, what is in marine snow? Is a question that just came in, and then also, I guess my own question is marine snow only ever falling downwards, or does it ever move up again?
I'm sure May can answer this more authoritatively than I can,
Go for it,
as
Jacob.
the trained scientist. But to my understanding, marine snow is essentially everything that everything that comes apart in the
Go
ocean.
ahead and take off
It's
auto heading.
parts of fish and different organisms, alive and dead. It's waste. It's anything you can think of that would have a little particle in the ocean. And as a whole moves down, but we'll go with the current. How'd I do, May?
Yeah, I would say that's pretty accurate. Yeah, I mean, marine snow can be, like you said, really anything. It's typically biological of some nature, but these days, of course, with microplastics, there's a whole lot of plastic that's microscopic and kind of moving with the currents as well. But marine snow is like a kind of central part of the biological pump or biological cycles of the ocean. Typically moves from from the upper waters down. Of course, there's sort of some upwelling in some areas. There's currents that can make things swell or move in different directions locally, but overall it's slowly kind of snowing down. And there's kind of two sort of energy sources I guess we can call it like that, in the deep ocean. One would be photosynthetic based communities, so organisms that have either symbiotic relationships or are able to fix energy from chemicals coming from hydrothermal vents or other venting sites on the seafloor. And then the other kind of energy source is everything that's falling from above that animals can feed on. So it is a really important part of the kind of the ways that different environments work in the ocean. And we have lights on, so it kind of illuminates and shines on the snow. You can see it, but you know, if you're in the water, often it looks really clear. In some waters, there's a bit more detritus, or maybe there's an algal bloom if you're swimming in waters that's a little bit different color. But generally speaking, that's just a natural part of ocean's processes.
So, a question here. When doing core samples on the ocean floor, is that essentially marine snow that is accumulated on the bottom?
Yeah, so a lot of core samples can be collected on sediment core samples. So things that we collect with ROVs are small cores in the sense that they're not really, really long. So there's other ships that their mission is to take these really deep, long cores into the earth. But when we talk about like a sediment core, it would just be about a foot long piece of plastic tube that we have a little handle on, and we're able to then have our ROV operators take it out of a quiver that's attached to the ROV and then put it into the sediment and get essentially what we're looking at is the profile between the sediment surface, the sediment on the seafloor, and how that interacts with the water above. So people who study sediment cores can be biologists or interested in like paleo oceanographic studies or
Zoom in, Jacob.
volcanologists
Roger that.
because all of these little bits that are falling down, some of them are shells, like tiny shells from very small creatures, and in those shells they can hold clues about past climates. So you can kind of get a sense of what the atmosphere was like when that living being was alive and
Wow.
study climate in that sense. Some people are looking at the surface to understand different microbial communities growing on the sediment surface at different levels. So, you know, a few centimeters down, a few centimeters below that, a few centimeters deeper. So kind of cutting these slices down the core. And then in terms of volcanology and geology, which is more of my background, getting a sediment core for an area near a volcanic site, you can see the tephra or the
There you go.
nice. It's a great zoom.
Wow.
Very cool.
What's going on at the
I've got
front of
plenty
him?
more zoom if you ever
It's
want
like he
it.
has little arms by his mouth.
Did you say you had more zoom?
I do have more zoom. I've been waiting on
Okay.
Mike to get it nice
Yeah.
and centered.
Yeah. But
The ship's moving a lot.
yeah, we're moving a bit.
Yeah. I'm also at the end of my tether, so I'm
Yeah, no.
pulling Atalanta with me.
You're doing great.
Truly. Does marine snow exist in freshwater too?
Um, I don't know if it's called the same thing, but absolutely there's particles kind of falling from from above to the bottom of a lake or you know, a pond or something. Uh, that wouldn't be marine
Can
since
you zoom in a
that's
little bit more, Energy?
Roger that.
kind of a specific salty water term, but um, there's lots of different organisms that live in freshwater bodies that their little bits and pieces will eventually sink down to the, the lake bed or the bottom of that water body as well.
All right, you can come back out.
Come what?
I think they were calling that a snipe eel.
Yeah, that's what I heard too. It's kind of a cool name.
Wow.
Yeah, there's so many different ways to study the midwater, and using ROVs is one technique, but you have to remember that we're making a little bit of noise and we've got our lights on, so we end up seeing kind of a subset of who's living here because not everything might want to be around a bright thing, a bright vehicle that
That's
makes a little bit of
actually,
noise. So some of the things we're seeing are moving a bit more in the currents or less quickly or less bothered by us. Um, but there's all sorts of different vehicles that are designed specifically to study the twilight zone or the midwaters and be quiet or dark and be well equipped with kind of low light imaging equipment or um, pumps for pumping seawater for eDNA analyses or environmental DNA, which basically is a pretty popular non-invasive method of studying the DNA within a general area, which gives you a sense of who maybe passed through that area. So just like humans shed hair or little pieces around, little bits of DNA, um, all these organisms do too. And so instead of actually collecting an organism, we can filter the water and see what maybe passed through, and then get an idea of maybe some of the biodiversity in an area that we haven't actually visually seen everything.
tools for studying midwater organisms is actually where a lot of my graduate research is right now.
Oh, cool. Is it
Which
with the lander or
mostly they have a new vehicle, they call it Vampire. It's a long, complicated acronym.
is that after like the vampire tooth is?
Honestly, right,
Would you move your mic close to your mouth? I want to hear you, but you're quiet.
Good.
yeah, sorry, struggling with physical arrangement of things. I believe the acronym stands for Visual and Acoustic Mesopelagic Platform for Integrated Research.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Do you guys want to fit another letter in there, or?
there's a couple PIs on this program, and they're all a creative lot. But one of the things, as May mentioned, is the ROVs are pretty noisy. So this vehicle moves primarily with a buoyancy engine. So it pumps oil between a reservoir that's at a fixed size and partially full of air, and a compensator which can change size based on how much oil is in it. So that lets it displace more water or less water and float up and down, and then not have to be tied to a winch and not have to be running thrusters, and can kind of silently move vertically. So you can, then it has a couple different camera systems on it to image either, things the size of what we're seeing here, smaller particulates, and get counts on those. It's kind of following in, for those of you who sailed with Ben Grossian, he was doing a lot of that kind of work with other platforms of trying to combine acoustics. You can see big picture, like where there's things reflecting sound, and then send cameras into those places in a way that you can observe and try to count the populations there and correlate those two to get some sense of the behavior of the things that are in the midwater and otherwise hard to find.
Wow. How do you move horizontally then? Or is it just a vertical?
We don't.
Understood. Got it.
We move like a hot air balloon, I guess. You can.
The hot air balloon of the sea. Wow.
Yeah, you can.
Can we zoom in?
Yes, we can. Locke, kind of on your question, the end of last season, we had a cruise with in Palau with the Scripps Institute for Oceanography, and they have a variety. What is that?
Wait, we saw something like that earlier, and we did not get this good look at it.
What are you?
It looks almost like a ctenophore, but
I'll finish that thought later, Locke.
Yeah.
can we like slightly lower the lighting on Herc HD? Is that possible?
Yeah, I can drop the iris. Is that okay with you, Mike?
Is it lighting up?
It's having a
Mike,
little-
I'm going to drop the iris a little bit to catch the...
Yep.
bioluminescence, just so you're aware.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, oh my gosh.
It's pretty cool.
This was my dream coming out here, was to see something bioluminescent.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
Ah.
But
Why?
the team from Scripps brought their, I believe they were called Slocum gliders, which worked on a similar principle of the buoyancy engine, but had wings on the side, so as they went up and down, they would glide through the water and could travel really, really far distances. They were quite cool.
Oh yeah, the gliders are fun. It's such a clever concept.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Also, whoa.
I think they had 2 different types of gliders as well.
I have a biology question.
That's so cool.
How do these glow? Like, how do you glow underwater, and why do you glow underwater?
I don't know. I just play a scientist on TV.
What?
My favorite thing to say in ship-ashore interactions.
I think most of these things we're seeing are more,
Reflective, right?
Yeah, I think it's reflecting the light from Hercules, which is why you see those rainbow kind of colors.
which is its own interesting, is that a, you know, specific behavior or just a by coincidence, this thing that never gets shined on it suddenly looks very dramatic when it has lights shined on it.
It's interesting seeing, well, zoomed in, the light behind and like a darker blob, like internal structures.
I'm trying to come out and see if I can light it up a little bit.
I can play with your lights if you want, but I don't know if there's a
Where'd you go?
better option.
Beep. There it is. Okay.
Wow, so it's even more crazy that it's not even bioluminescent, it's just beautifully reflective.
Yeah, I've seen some
Jacob, are you able to zoom in a little bit more?
I am.
some
Yeah,
shallow
we'll
water.
wait until it's recentered.
Or where did it go? There it is. Oh, it's taken off now.
It's camera shy.
Maybe
No, you're
you'll come
talking
back
about me.
for a third trip visit, because it's...
What's that? Say it again?
Well, so we saw, I think, either this one or one that's very similar early, so I wonder if it'll come back and be like, check us out again. Third
Yeah,
time.
maybe.
Once per watch has to, everybody gets to see.
Definitely. Yeah, organisms that bioluminesce are really cool. I think a lot of them do it for communication, but this is, my background's in
great
marine
shot,
geology, so I'll do my best here. But I think, yeah, communicating, and in general, can also be used to like attract for mating
Nope.
purposes, or
Go ahead and zoom back out.
Yes, sir.
to be used as a defense mechanism to let the other animals around you know who you are, kind of. And organisms that bioluminesce it's through a kind of chemical reaction. I can't remember the name of the actual like protein and chemicals that are involved in the luminescent reaction, but it's pretty amazing. But the squid worms that we've been seeing, you may have noticed they look like they're kind of shining, and those aren't luminescent, like they're not bioluminescent, they're more reflective as well. Sometimes coloration and of different organisms in the ocean is really intentional and helpful for their survival. And then sometimes it's just sort of like a byproduct of what that animal is made up of. And
Hmm.
not every thing has a specific kind of utility necessarily. So sometimes things have a color and it's not because it's to make it, you know, better seen in the deep sea where it's dark or less seen, but it's just like made up of blood, for example, like tube worms at hydrothermal vents, which are bright red, and that really shocked a lot of people
It said
because
it's blood.
they live in the deep sea where there's very little light or no light at all unless it's bioluminescent or something erupting. So you might wonder, like, why is there so many different colors? But it's kind of an interesting way to look at life, that if there's no light, should there not be color? It's not it, it's not always like holding a purpose necessarily in a survival mode. Sometimes it's just ends up being a structural color.
That's true. If no one can see you, it doesn't matter
Exactly.
what color you're growing it.
Yeah. So there can be all sorts of colors in the deep ocean, even if it's dark.
It's also interesting because I know there are different colors of bioluminescence,
Yeah.
but things we see in the ocean like tend towards the blues. And if you're trying to be seen at distance, then you're going to, survive better with making blue light than making red light. But I think I've seen reds too, and it's often as like defense mechanisms.
Huh.
Mm. Yeah.
Yep. All good. Sorry for yelling in no one's ear. Hmm?
Our ROV team is working very hard on kind of solving out these technical questions about our winch system. So we never did introductions, but we could do introductions for those who are available, like Jacob, if you want to
I
introduce.
am rather available at the moment. Hi, Jacob Ottaviani up in the video engineering seat. Really enjoying some zooms on some really cool biology. That's been a side of things that we haven't gotten to do a ton on this expedition, with such the focus on maritime archaeology and history. So, actually been a quite enjoyable watch so far. I like seeing biology.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's definitely a change of pace.
Nice change of pace.
To your right, I'm Tim Burbank, sitting co-pilot seat. Normally my role on Nautilus is as a data engineer, so mostly keeping an eye on computers and things which collect and archive all of the data from sensors. When not here, as formerly alluded to, I'm being a grad student at URI, looking at or attempting to look at creatures in the midwater. But I'm also not a biologist, so I don't know what's happening.
Hi, I'm Mike Burns. I am sitting in the Herc seat at the moment. I'm typically on the 12 to 4 watch, but sitting in at the moment as we diagnose what's going on with the winch. And when I'm not up in the ROV van, I am down on the deck as deck chief and work on other vessels as such. So.
Hey, I'm Chris. I'm here as a navigator and high-resolution mapping person for the ROV and the shallow water mapping operations. And when I'm not here, I'm at home developing technologies related to vehicle control and mapping and sensing,
Whoa.
and working for some other ships and things like that.
Doing some raw stuff. All right, and my name is May Lubetkin, and I'm one of the science managers on the ship, and I'm the watch lead for this watch. When I'm not on the ship, I'm doing independent research about the ocean. I come from background of marine geology, but now I study kind of critical ocean studies or transdisciplinary ocean studies, and do a lot of other things. So that's another one of our watch members, Bill, an ocean science intern, will be back shortly, and we'll give him a chance to give an introduction. And we also have Locke, a guest on our watch.
Locke was on a watch from, what, noon to 4, and now y'all are too interesting, so I haven't left. But I'm Locke Patton. I'm an educator at the Museum of Science when I'm not at sea with all these marvelous humans, and that means I'm teaching about all sorts of things. But my background is astronomy, astrophysics, and I spent a lot of time striking a cage with lightning to prove that you are safe inside of a car because of the skin effect. So the charges and electricity stay on the outside of the cage, which means I get to effectively touch a couple centimeters from lightning, and that's my job. So it's a weird place, but I should, in fact, put my mic a little bit closer. Thank you, Jacob. Was any of that discernible? Okay, great. Yeah. And it looks like our science intern is coming back, so maybe we'll get him to hop on and introduce himself as well. Although I am introducing myself right before running to dinner. So.
What's up, y'all? I'm Bill. I'll be going to Florida Tech in about a month to study marine biology, and I'm working as a data logger right now.
Epic.
Any progress on the winch?
Still working on it.
When we have an understanding, folks are requesting some technical explanation because they're curious about it. But that's not an us question at all. So we'll just have to see if someone can answer that.
We need the winch is what brings the ROVs up from super deep down, and right now I think a relay is broken, and we can't bring them up until that's fixed, and I'm not sure what the progress is on fixing that, but so now we're just sitting around at 800 meters below the ocean.
And we're seeing so many critters thanks to that. We're learning all about the midwater. You'll have to tell me if any anglerfish come, because I will run
I got you.
at breakneck speeds.
We were a little high up for anglerfish.
All right.
I gotta.
Megan coming in just dancing happily. It's a good sign. All right, my friends, it was lovely to join you for a bit of your watch. Keep up the awesome work.
Alrighty, see you luck.
Thanks.
All right, so just a little kind of update for anybody who's just tuning in or unsure of what we're up to. We're currently in the midwater. Um, we're just working on troubleshooting some technical matters concerning our winch, which is what is able to um, bring at Atlanta, our tow sled ROV, up and down. So Atlanta is attached to Nautilus, the ship that we are all on, via a cable which goes up and down with a winch, and we're just having some issues with our winch, but we've got folks working on that, and we should get that figured out as soon as possible. In the meantime, we're kind of holding station while that troubleshooting work is going on and enjoying this opportunity to look at some of the midwater organisms that we've been seeing. So jellyfish, um, lots of squidworms, definitely marine snow. Oh, there's some little gelatinous thing off to the right. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now. Once we get things sorted out with our winch, we'll recover our vehicles and then get things ready to go for our next dive. So TBD a little bit on exactly when that will be, but we'll keep you informed. And we are here standing by in the van, so if you have any questions generally about what we've been up to or about what we're seeing in the blue water, in the midwater right now, we're available. So, and in general, on this expedition, for anyone who's unaware, we are here looking at shipwrecks, so archaeological non-invasive surveys of known and yet to be identified or located wrecks throughout the Iron Bottom Sound, around the Solomon Islands. There's a number of wrecks that have been already identified back in the early 90s when Dr. Ballard was here, and when a few other expeditions since then. But there's also quite a few wrecks from the battles of Guadalcanal in World War II between the U.S. and the Japanese that sunk here, and we're doing these searches to better understand where they are, have some closure for those who were lost, and document them visually as memorial sites and archaeological maritime kind of heritage sites. So that's kind of our main mission on this expedition, which involves mapping and imaging and ROV operations, as well as mapping using our shoreside Drix uncrewed surface vessel, which is out mapping independent of the Nautilus and helping us identify new targets to go ground truth with the ROVs, to go look at more closely. So we've been doing that so far for the last week and a few days, and we still have another a little less than 2 weeks left, where we'll continue doing these kind of cycles of mapping and getting closer to the seafloor and mapping again with our Norbit system, which is on the ROV itself, and then looking at the wrecks to better understand what they are if they're unknown. Hiroshi, do you want to share a little bit about the process of kind of the identifying the recently discovered wreck?
Sure. So since we are,
maybe also introduce yourself.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Because you weren't here earlier.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Hiroshi Ishii. I'm a maritime archaeologist here from Japan. I'm a researcher at the Center of Southeast Asia Study, Kyoto University. So the process of identification, since we know that those are naval vessel, so we have a very form historical record of those ship plan and then ship classification. So we just pull out ship plan blueprint of ship and then compare let's say which feature align with which class which blueprint of ship plan. And yeah, so let's say number of funnel, number of turret, number of torpedo tubes, lengths, widths, so such kind of things. And then yeah, and then also historical record. We know that which class, how many ship of certain class is missing this area. So yeah, so was kind of eliminating one factor and another factor, and then yeah, and to, um, positively identify which aircraft. So not aircraft, sorry, shipwreck. Yeah.
Nice. Thanks for that explanation. Yeah, it's really kind of an investigatory process to understand these wrecks, and it's been really great having Hiroshi on our watch, and Frank is another expert on the ship who's a historian, and then we also have um, around 200 shoreside scientists, experts, archaeologists, historians, and others who are part of this mission as well. And we also have a handful of people who are experts that can join us on audio if they're available and we're on a wreck where they might have some specialized knowledge. And then we certainly have many other experts on the ship who are skilled at their own job, but from mapping to piloting to video to data engineering to engine room and all things ship related. So So we have somebody who's wondering what shipwrecks are still to be located in this area. There's quite a few. Hiroshi, what are some of the shipwrecks that you would be most
Yeah,
kind of
sure.
enthusiastic to first?
I mean, in this, area, we still missing, I believe, this point, I believe, 3 or maybe 4 Japanese destroyer, Akatsuki, Takanami, Makigumo, and Natsugumo. Yeah, those 3 all destroyer are missing, and also I believe at least 2 submarines, I3 or I3 and then I1, 2, 3. Those are still missing, and yeah, so we still have yeah, more than few missing Japanese vessel in around this water, in this water. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's, in addition to the shipwrecks that have yet to be identified and located in this area from these battles, there's nearly 1,500 planes that I believe almost all of them have not been located. They're much smaller in size, so it's a bit more challenging to find aircraft, unlike large destroyers or warships, which we are able to detect in our sonar systems more easily. But in total, there's, I believe, 111 naval vessels that were sunk in this sound here. So I think only 30 of the military ships lost in the area have been located, with 20 remaining to be found in the deep waters of the sound. So for everybody who's tuning in around the world, we have viewers from all over from the U.S., Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Germany, Canada, Portugal, Poland, Philippines, Malaysia, Jamaica, Finland, Belize, UK, and several other places around the world. Thanks for engaging with us as we're kind of drifting in blue water here. We're just standing by on some technical challenges that we're facing with our winch system, which is able to bring at Atlanta our tow sled ROV up and down, which is connected to Hercules. Our other ROV, which is doing the kind of closer visual surveys that we have been on the shipwrecks on the seafloor here. We're a little bit quiet because people are focused on troubleshooting what's going on. Our ROV and operations team are working collaboratively to solve these kind of technical questions as soon as possible and get back to our regular diving routine. In the meantime, we're just able to take the time to zoom and look at some of the really interesting creatures in the midwater that we don't often really spend a lot of time with. So if you do have questions, feel free to write them in. We're happy to talk about what we have been doing and what's coming up next. But yeah, in the meantime, we'll be here for until our technical questions are solved, and we'll recover the ROVs and try to get them back in the water as soon as possible to continue surveying the wrecks that we have planned and the unknown targets that we've mapped that might be also newly identified wrecks. So that's kind of what's coming up next for us. We were heading down to what we believed to be was the site of the Ayanami. That will probably be where we'll start off our next dive, but things do change. It's really not uncommon working out at sea. There's technical challenges from time to time, and that's just part of the nature of this work. We're dealing with a lot of different moving parts, so we like to do things really methodically and carefully and thoughtfully. So yeah, we'll give you updates on our next ROV and when we're going to be back doing what we're doing, surveying non-invasive archaeological sites for understanding the history and kind of maritime archaeology of this region better. But until then, enjoy this kind of peaceful blue water if you're still with us. So thank you.